What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm your boy, Little Black Mario, and I'm back at it again with another episode. So today, what I'm bringing you guys is episode 2. So what I have for you guys today is in the opening scene of episode 2 is what I have is left off from the first episode. So from the first episode, what we had is we had Wolverine, Captain America, Bucky Barnes, Nick Fury, and a couple of the SHIELD agents. They were essentially going to this area to find the Cold Sea fusion reactor, and the opening scene is while they're jumping out of the helicarrier to go into this area, as soon as they're leaving to the helicarrier, they're hacked by Mastermind, and Mastermind hacks the other helicarrier, and he makes both of them crash into each other. So essentially what happens is all the helicarriers are destroyed, and they're the only heroes and SHIELD agents left. And what happens is as they're gathering their bearings and they're trying to gather themselves together, all the SHIELD agents are taken out by Omega Red, Sabretooth, and Deadpool. And Wolverine, Captain America, and Bucky, they're all fighting against Wolverine, Deadpool, and Sabretooth, Deadpool, and Omega Red. And what happens is that Captain America and Bucky Barnes, they're overtaken by Omega Red and Sabretooth, but they're not killed immediately. They're kind of just incapacitated, and Wolverine is the last man standing. And what happens is that Wolverine, he's fighting Deadpool and Sabretooth, and what happens is Omega Red hits him with this toxin that essentially knocks him out. So what happened after that scene, what I have is once they capture Wolverine, Captain America, and Bucky Barnes, they take them to this underground bunker where the Brotherhood of Evil, that's kind of the group name of what they're called, they take them to this location in the underground. And what they did is that they implanted bombs inside their chest. And essentially what they did was that while they were knocked out, inside Captain America and Bucky Barnes, they implanted their chest, but in Wolverine's a little bit different. So in Wolverine, what happened was that when they implanted the bomb in his chest, they made it so that way if he tried to get it out, it wouldn't spit it out, it would still be inside his chest. So essentially what they did was that they negated his healing factor for a short period of time. So what I have after that is that while they're in this little secluded bunker, they're talking to the Brotherhood of Evil. It's Wolverine, Captain America, and Bucky Barnes. And essentially what happens is that Wolverine is start sniffing around, and what happens is he picks up this scent that's not hit a familiar scent. And when he picks it up, he's like, hey, this isn't a person that I'm used to seeing or smelling. And then it reveals that it's Colossus. So essentially what happened was is that in the storyline, the X-Men have disbanded, and essentially they're kind of all doing their own thing. And most of them have died from Asteroid M hitting the planet, and most of them died facing Magneto. And essentially, Wolverine was kind of the last of the heroes, and Colossus, but Colossus felt that essentially what happened, he blamed it on the X-Men, so he decided to just kind of do his own thing. So essentially what happens is that Colossus and Wolverine, they start having this conversation where Wolverine's like, hey, we've been together for a minute now. We fought against different people together. We were a team. Why all of a sudden are you being on their side? He's like, well, I feel that it's all about now trying to be on top, and before Wolverine and Charles Xavier, they couldn't see the bigger picture. So what I have after that is that as they're talking, they let all of them go. So essentially they're chained around their neck, and they have the bombs planted inside their chest, and they let them know that, hey, we're going to give you guys a chance to escape, but once you escape, you have to tell the people, you can't come back here. So what happens is that Omega Red lets them go, and Wolverine, stays inside the section that they're in, but Captain America and Bucky Barnes, they decide to make a break for it. So when they decide to make a break for it, Deadpool has his hand on a detonator, and he decides to detonate the bombs inside Captain America and Bucky Barnes. And what happens is that Wolverine tries to cut his bomb out of his chest, but when he cuts it out, it decides to detonate. And what happens is that once it detonates, he heals back, but when they heal back, because they put it inside his chest, it didn't spit it out completely. So it's kind of he's dying but regenerating at the same time. So what I have here is that he essentially regenerates himself from nothing. So then what I have after that is there's this kind of cutscene, or not a cutscene, but kind of this little discussion where Wolverine is having a conversation with himself. So what happens is that he's paying his respects to Captain America and Bucky Barnes now that they died. And essentially he's like, hey, I've done so many wrong things in my life, and I seem to not be able to get it right. And when he's paying his respects to them, he's essentially met by Nick Fury. So Nick Fury was essentially supposed to have died when the helicarriers exploded, but what happens is that in this Nick Fury, it's not the original Nick Fury that we're used to seeing. So it's not the original black Nick Fury. This is the white Nick Fury, and essentially, this Nick Fury, he would always send out live decoys, so you would never see the real Nick Fury. So essentially, what happened is that Nick Fury would die, but you would believe that he's dead, but he's really actually somewhere else. So what happens is that they start having this discussion, and um, Nick Fury essentially says that, hey, like, we didn't get the sequel, the cold fusion seed reactor. Like, nothing's really gonna, we can't really do anything from here. Like, the only thing to do now is just everybody defend for themselves. So Nick Fury's like, hey, like, I'm just gonna go into my underground bunker and just try to survive as much as I can. So Wolverine, he asks Wolverine, well, what are you gonna do? And Wolverine says, oh, I got unfinished business that I need to handle. So that's kind of why I decided to call this scene, or this series, Wolverine Unfinished Business, because he's tying up loose ends and he's essentially trying to fix the wrongs that he committed. Not the wrongs, but kind of trying to fix the life that he had before, and trying to fix the wrongs that where he went, trying to fix the rights of where he went wrong. So then what I have is, as the last scene, what I have is that Wolverine goes to find Forge, which is essentially one of the people that were from the Wolverine. If you watch X-Men 97, he was kind of the original X-Men that was a part with Storm. And essentially what he does is that he says, hey, I need to go find Magneto, and I need to go dig up his helmet to go try to track down the Brotherhood of Evil.